Welcome back to part 3 of this 4-part home buying masterclass series, where I'm teaching you everything you need to know about buying a home in today's market, using knowledge from over 200 real estate transactions to help you make good real estate decisions. Okay, in this video, this is the exciting part, guys. This is the part where you have found a home and you're getting ready to write an offer on it. So I'm going to cover 4 things. I'm going to talk about how do you determine what price to offer, give you some basic tips. I'm going to talk to you about what contingencies are and understanding how they affect your offer and how the seller likes it. Third, I'm going to talk about personalizing your offer to make it stand out to the seller. And then fourth, I'm going to talk to you about the importance of following up to get that one little nugget that you can use in negotiation to help make the deal happen. Let's dive right into it. Okay, let's talk about determining a price. It's actually really simple. There's 3 C's: comps, competition, and capability. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the comps. So when I'm writing an offer for my home buyers, I will pull the comparable sales in that specific neighborhood for the last 12 months. Sometimes we'll go back even 24 months if there's not a lot of data. So I wanna look at the comparable sales and keep in context what type of market I am in. If I'm in a downward market and I'm looking in the comparable sales, I'm gonna be thinking about how much lower do I want my offer to be than the last comps. If I'm in an upward market, which is what we've been in for a very long time now, I'm gonna judge how much over the comparable sales that I wanna offer. And so I wanna look at the history and the sales data and compare, how do these homes compare to the property that I'm looking at? What was their location? Sometimes you do a brief overview of the comps and you see one that sold for way less and there's a story behind it, but it can't be told in the photos. Maybe it backed a major road. Maybe there was a death in the house. Maybe there was something that really affected the value. So you want to do a little bit of digging and a little bit of research to find that out. The second thing you want to do is you want to look at the competition. How many people are writing an offer on this home? And what is their financing like? And what are the terms of their offer? If you are working with a really, really good real estate agent, they should be able to call the listing agent and finagle some of these details. You see, a lot of the listing agents hold their cards close to their chest and they won't share details. So as a real estate agent, I've learned all sorts of psychology questions, ways to ask to get key information that can help me to form a good offer for my client. So make sure you talk to your realtor and ask them, what questions are you going to be asking the listing agent? What information are you going to be trying to get from them, and how are you going to go about doing it? So work with them to make sure you're getting those key details, especially some of the things that might be important to you. For example, if the home has really good bones, like the piping is newer or something like that, you might be apt to write a higher price on that. So you can use that term to give the seller what they want, which is more money, because you know that it has some detail or feature that's important to you. And then lastly, you want to look at your capability. A lot of times when you're writing an offer above the listing price, you might be getting into that territory where the price is higher than what the home will appraise for. So you might not be capable of purchasing a home if it goes too far above the actual market value. So depending on how much of a down payment you have, you need to look at your capability. You want to take a look at the mortgage payments, you want to take a look at the insurance price, you want to take a look at the HOA. Ideally, you've talked with your lender and you have a really good understanding of these numbers, but you might want to run a quick scenario just to make sure at the sales price that you're offering, what's the affordability like? Does it match with your budget? So the comps, the competition, and your capability is going to play a huge role into determining the price that you want to offer for that home. Because maybe after you look through all those details, this property might not make sense for you. So do your due diligence, and usually by this time you're feeling really prepared. Okay, the second thing you need to understand when writing an offer is the contingencies. What do they mean to you? So we're talking in the context of buying a home in California. And when you write an offer in California, you have built into the purchase agreement contingencies. That means that once you deliver your earnest money deposit, these things are contingent upon you agreeing to them before moving forward. So if you back out before you remove these contingencies, you will not lose your earnest money deposit. Candidly, I've never really seen anybody lose their earnest money deposit. You probably have to be working with a really terrible realtor for that to happen. So we just don't see that very much anymore, but I've heard stories in the past where buyers thought that they did all their investigations and their realtor didn't advise them of something. Long story short, they ended up losing their deposit because they removed their contingencies and they tried to back out afterward. And that's how you lose your deposit. But there's a couple contingencies that are in place to protect you as a buyer that you really want to know about. And you also might need to manipulate some of these to make your offer stand out. So in the original purchase agreement, they will typically give you 17 days for your investigations, so doing your inspections, reading your HOA documents, reviewing the seller's disclosures, to get an insurance quote, making sure that the home is insurable, getting your loan approved, and doing an appraisal on the home. They typically give you about 17 days built into the contract. So that's what that means, is that if you're on day 16 and the lender calls you and says, I'm sorry, we cannot approve your loan for X, Y, and Z, if you have that contingency in place, you can back out of the deal and you won't lose your deposit. So they're there to protect you as the buyer. They really don't protect the seller. Now, with that being said, if you're in a competitive market and you put 17-day contingencies, the seller will likely not even consider your offer for a second. And here's why. The longer your contingencies, the more they see risk with looking at your offer. So they're wanting to see short contingencies in that offer. What you want to do is you want to put them short enough to give yourself some time to make good decisions, but not too long so that you automatically disqualify yourself from offering on that home. So for example, I'm an experienced home buyer. Obviously, I'm a real estate agent and I know what to look for and I know which questions to ask. Sometimes if I'm buying a home, I don't even need to have an inspection contingency in there because maybe the seller has done a pre-listing home inspection or age of the property or the details that I got from them. I just know that I might not even need to include that. That would make my offer stand out way above the other offers. You as a home buyer, unless you've bought and been involved in hundreds of transactions, you wouldn't want to do that. But you might say, hey, this property is only 10 years old. They just replaced X, Y, and Z. Seems like it's in good condition. I'm going to give myself 5 days for inspections, investigations. If you do that, your offer is going to stand out. But obviously work with your realtor, let them know your comfort level, shorten it as much as you can while still being comfortable and giving yourself enough time to make good decisions. If you're the engineer, analytical personality, this part's going to be really challenging for you, so you might need to reprioritize your life for a couple weeks while you're in escrow to giving yourself the time to do the research and do the due diligence and let your realtor know that, hey, I need some clear answers on these items before I move forward. Can you assist me in the research and get me some good data on this? So that's how your contingencies work. An ideal offer that stands out in 2024, you've got really short inspection contingencies, maybe 7 days or less, really short appraisal contingencies, maybe 9 days or less, and you've got a contingency for your loan of maybe 10 to 12 days or less. Which brings up an important point. If you are using one of the bigger banks, which as realtors, we have been scammed by them so many times, if you use B of A or Wells Fargo, it's likely your offer will not even be considered for most realtors. But, make your own decision with that. But a lot of those big banks require 30 to 45 days to close escrow, and their loan products don't allow you to have short contingencies. So you think you're being savvy and getting a lower interest rate, but you're actually losing out on every home you love because they take too long to close and too long to get loan approval. So find a lender that offers competitive terms, and later if you want to refinance to one of those banks, do that. But at least get your offer accepted first. So that is a brief summary of what contingencies are, how they protect you, and how you can use them to your advantage. Now let's talk about personalizing your offer to the seller. Now, I'm just gonna give you some awareness around this. You're technically not supposed to do this. I, as a realtor, cannot advise you to do this. I'm just telling you, we see buyers do this all the time, and it makes a difference when their offer is getting accepted on a home. So I will see buyers, I'm not recommending this to you, but I will see buyers write a personalized letter to the seller saying, hey, I love your home. This is what I love about it. This is a little bit about my family and I, or this is a little bit about myself. This is our story. This is why we think we're a good buyer for your home. I have seen sellers react very positively to that, find a common connection with the buyer and accept their offer over a higher offer. So I cannot advise you to do that. You're technically not supposed to do that. If you wonder why you keep getting beat on your offer, it's probably because the other buyers are doing that. So take that one with your own risk. If you're gonna wanna personalize it, that could potentially help you out. And then the last tip for your offer is have your realtor follow up. I can't tell you how many times I will be calling on a property and I'll speak with the agent and he says, yeah, I don't think it's gonna go for more than $850. Here's what my seller's looking for right now. If you were to offer $850, I think they'd accept it. I call back in 2 days. Oh, you know what? We actually haven't gotten any offers right now, but my seller still wants $850. Call back in a couple days. Oh, you know what? We had some potential offers, but they're not gonna offer anymore. So what is this telling me? This is telling me that this guy's home is overpriced, or this guy or gal's home is overpriced. So I'm gonna keep following up, either before I submit my offer to get good information, or, as I'm waiting to submit my offer, I'm gonna keep following up, or after I've submitted it, to get more details from them. So let's say I submit an offer on a home, and I'm gonna ask the listing agent, when are you going to be reviewing these with the seller? And what is important to your seller? What things are they looking for in the offer? What does the ideal closing situation look like? I'm gonna go through all these questions with the listing agent to really find out how can I make this offer attractive to the seller. And so when I submit the offer, let's say it's on a Saturday, I'm gonna follow up on Sunday, I'm gonna follow up on Monday, and I'm gonna keep checking in up until that offer deadline. And I'm gonna ask them, have any new details come up? Is there anything that you saw in the other offers that were advantageous? Is there anything that your seller is considering that we didn't already discuss? And sometimes I'll get 1 or 2 small pieces of information that will be a total game changer for the negotiation, and it will allow me to put in a term in the offer that will allow our offer to get accepted over the other offers. I've had this happen many, many times. So following up is so important. Have your realtor check in. Make sure you're clear on the questions they're going to be asking the listing agent. And that's actually a good way to find a good realtor. Like, you're out there interviewing realtors, and one of the questions you'll ask them is, when you present our offer, how do you present it? What questions do you ask the listing agent? How can you help us save time, money, and energy in this process? So this has been the part 3 of the Home Buying Masterclass series, and we have really covered how to determine a price for your home, what contingencies are, how to use them to advantage, personalizing your offer for the seller, and then following up to get those key details that help your negotiation. Keep following, like, and subscribe for part 4 of this series, where we're gonna be talking about one of the most important parts, which is managing the escrow process. I'm gonna walk you through days 1 through day 30. Of course, it can be longer or shorter than that, but I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about an escrow in California so that you are prepared when your offer actually gets accepted. And when they call you and say, we're choosing you, you're not like, oh crap, now what do I do? So we're gonna get you prepared for that in part 4, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.